the other sports topics. We have our soccer insider, Katie Goodman, joining us right now. Katie is going to talk to us about the whole settlement involving the United States women's soccer team. Katie, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I am doing absolutely
Katie?
amazing. Welcome to the show. This is your first halftime appearance, I believe.
It's great not waking up early.
Wow, really, Katie? Really? That's how we started?
I'm just throwing it out there.
So,
this is much smoother transition, no doubt.
You know what? Well, I'll remember to keep you in the 9 o'clock hour, Katie. Let you get a couple extra hours.
I appreciate you.
All right, no doubt. I got you.
Now, I saw some social media posts from you, Katie. You were in New York recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was.
What were you doing out there?
Being a baller.
I was working on an HBO production.
Oh, excuse us.
A comedy special. Yeah, I was nothing crazy, just behind the scenes in the room situation type stuff. Nothing serious really. But it was for a comedy special with Gerard Carmichael, so it's going to be good. It's coming out in about 7 months. You'll see it on HBO. So
doing nothing.
Yeah, that's
doing nothing.
Life.
You see how she tried to be like no big deal? Wow.
She big timed us there, man. She's like, no big deal. Just hanging out in New York, just a city that never sleeps. We're just hanging out over there. But we wanted to get into.
It's overwhelming, no doubt.
Well, congratulations
really
on your success. Yeah. We wanted to talk to you about the U.S. women's team getting a big payday out of the whole settlement that they had. Tell us about the backstory involving the story and the importance of the settlement.
Yeah, so the U.S. women's national team, they just won a huge settlement for an equal pay lawsuit against the U.S. Soccer Federation for $24 million. So it was originally supposed to be $66.7 million, but they came to an agreement after they decided, okay, as long as there's equal pay moving forward, as long as we can come to an agreement and settle things, we'll accept the $24 million. So, it started back in March of 2019. 24 U.S. women's national team players went after the U.S. Soccer Federation, and they accused them of institutionalized gender discrimination under the Equal Pay Act and the Title 11 Civil Rights Act. So a lot of people, every time I bring this up, they're like, well, the men make more money, so why do they have to get equal pay when, and when in
viewers, whatever, right?
It's a civil rights issue. Yes. So, and not only that, but they were being held to completely different standards. So, for one of those being, the issue is with bonuses. So if the U.S. women's national team would win outside the top 8, they would get a $5,250 bonus. If they lost, they would get $0. The U.S. men's national team, if they won outside the top 25 best teams, they got a $9,375 bonus. And if they lost, they got a $5,000 bonus. So that's where the major discrimination issue lied, because they were saying, oh, well, FIFA, it's up to FIFA what they want to pay. But in reality, those bonus structures was where the discrimination was most prevalent. So that's where they had the case. And so U.S. Soccer Federation agreed to pay out $22 million as a lump sum. So with that $22 million, the District Court of U.S. Soccer is going to allocate those funds across the players and decide how to distribute. And then another $2 million is going into a fund for the players after their career ends. And it'll also go into helping youth girls soccer. So a lot of great changes have come from that. It's a huge win for women's soccer and just women's sports in general.
Do like the young ladies that kind of set the foundation, the Mia Hamm era, do they are they getting a little piece of the pie, or is this past their time? They're not getting in on this. How does this, like, who's entitled to some of this 24? Because those young ladies they were doing it, in the 90s, winning World Cup, setting the foundation for, the Alex Morgans to come through and reap the benefits of this 24. So how does that work?
Right. That's a great question. I believe that they will have the ability to apply for up to $50,000 from that secondary fund.
Good.
That's what I understand. So I'm really, really hoping that's the case.
Me too.
Because yes, Mia Hamm, Julie Foudy is still yelling from the rooftops for U.S. women's soccer. She's such a huge presence in media, that I really do think all of those players, anyone who has been involved, deserves that, because it's not just that, but it's the facilities they play in. It's the hotels they stay in. The disparities between the men's and the women's team is just ridiculous. Yeah.
Has there been
about time.
Has there been any reaction from the men's team about the settlement?
I would think there's some tweets. I bet there's some tweets out there somewhere
in support or something like that.
We don't follow all the men's team on Twitter. I'm sure there's some support out there from the men. They've always been supportive of them.
Yeah, I've never at any point seen any agreement between the men's and women's team. There's always been a lot of support there, but yeah, I haven't seen anything at all pop up. I could do a deeper dive on that, I'm sure. But if anything, I would imagine it to be a congratulations, because it's not hurting them by bringing the women up. You know,
we
it's
all
not
eating now,
anybody.
right? We're all eating now. That's all it is.
Yeah, there you go.
Now the ask was bigger though, right? They wanted a higher. The ask was bigger. They wanted a higher amount early on.
They wanted $66.7 million initially.
And that's what you do. You shoot high.
Yeah, exactly. Shoot high. Yeah, I don't know, but what a compromise too, though. Like, that's a huge compromise.
Yeah, that's like 30-something million.
I don't know. Yeah, I think there was a lot of back and forth between 2019 and this past week. You know, like a lot of times they had to reissue appeals because a judge wouldn't agree with them. And so I think throughout that initial 66.7, I think they were able to realize, okay, maybe some of the things we asked for, you know, weren't necessarily making sense. We got to go back and reformulate.
Okay, so real quick, Katie, I know the women have a qualifying match tonight against Iceland, and then also how big is Weston McKinney's injury for the men as far as their World Cup qualifying chances?
Yeah, so we play Iceland tonight. I'll actually be covering that.
Good.
So you can, if you go to my social media, there's a bunch of links there in my story. If you want pre-game, halftime, and post-game review, I'm doing that with some of my soccer player friends. So you can learn all about all of that there. But as for Weston McKinney, oh man.
Is he a big part of what we need?
Fractures. Oh yeah, he's in the center midfield area. He's an incredible player. It's going to be a huge loss for us. So he has 2 fractures in his foot, which, you know, the foot is just such a delicate thing that it's hard to tell people what recovery time is, because everybody feels differently because their bones are so fragile. So, you know, I would bet he'll probably miss all of the qualifiers. We won't have him there for that. But Giovanni Reyna also just came back from an injury, and I've read where he can kind of step into that role, but he's not going to be a Weston McKinney. Like, Weston McKinney's a household name for a reason. You know, he's incredible. And to be such a good player in the center mid is a huge deal, because you command the offense and you command the defense. You know, you're the one who's the transitionary piece, and that can make or break a team. So I'm really interested to see if Giovanni Reyna can handle that and can fill those shoes, or if they're going to pull someone else off the bench, maybe that we haven't had a chance to see yet.
That is Katie Goodman.
Good stuff, Katie.
San Antonio Sports Star soccer insider, and also a Rock the Mic runner-up. Thank you for being with us today. That was a big story.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
Yeah.
Huge win.
Yes.
Go girls.
Yes.
Go ladies. Go women.